from far away to be here. A lot of people came from close, and a lot of people put a lot of effort into this, and I just can't express my gratitude enough. Like, it's just been such an outpouring of love ever since we found out this news about my brother almost 2 weeks ago. Especially want to say thank you to my cousins for pulling out the stops and coming out, everybody showing up on that side of the family and helping out with music and food. For the Zerlips, who are Jessie's second family, they're really, the people who he's the very closest to, just doing amazing stuff. The Call of the Sea, who are the people who built and maintained that ship out there, that was other than his daughters, the high point of his life in terms of what he accomplished and his pride. So the idea that we could have this COVID-friendly outdoor on this beautiful occasion at the boat memorial just seems like everything really came together. Really the stars were aligned in some ways, and I'm so glad we have a chance to do this. So a little housekeeping list. So the schedule, what we had is for a while, I'd love to invite anybody who wants to come up and share any memories, funny stories. If you are religious, please feel free. Anything in your faith tradition that you want to say is fine. Come on up and share a story about Jessie. Also inviting everybody to please sign in here in this book. Write whatever you want. We'd love to have, and love to have your name and email too, or your address, your phone, or however we get in touch with you if ever, there's a need. We do have special garbage cans out because we don't want to overload the municipal garbage cans. So we have the one up there and one over there. There's bathrooms over here at the Bay Model. And then, so after we do our talks, we're going to have some loose time to eat some food and visit with each other. But also during that time, so in about an hour or so, the docents from the Matthew Turner will be bringing people out in groups of 5. We're going to go out there. You can have a quick tour of the ship, see what Jessie worked on, hear some stories about him. I also brought some of his remains, some ashes, so we can, each group can have a little bit to do, just a little symbolic sprinkling out there, say your own personal goodbyes to him. And then we'll wrap up, and Mark will lead us out with some music. We'll have a little poetry and some music at the end, and say our final goodbyes. So that's kind of how the day's going to go. Please, obviously it's a public park, know that there might be people learning how to kayak out here on the lawn, and there's a lot of stuff that might go on. That's just part of it. And it also seems sort of appropriate given just how much a man of the people my brother was, I don't think he would have it any other way. So without further ado, I'm gonna just kind of give a little bit of me, older sister perspective on my brother and some of his history that not everybody who isn't part of our family would know. We have a few people here, some cousins, my aunt and uncle, myself, have literally known Jessie his entire life, remember the day he was born. And so for those of you who don't know, it's funny because I keep hearing really larger than life stories about Jessie, and so I'm going to start with one that is some of our family lore, which is that Jessie was born October 26, 1968. In Berkeley, it's the hippie days, and my mom was going to have a birth at home. But, those don't always go super well. So they didn't have 911 then, so they called the operator, and a cop car showed up to take my mom to Alta Bates Hospital to finish giving birth to Jay, but he didn't make it that far. And so the story is that my brother was actually, believe it or not, born in the back of a police car. So I remember him as a young, very, just rambunctious, cheerful. For those of you who only knew him as this enormous guy, he was always tall. We are all tall on my dad's side of the family. But he was also at one point a thin, sinewy guy with tremendous physical grace. He was very strong. He was very fast, and he he continued to be strong, throughout his life. But and he always there was this two sides of him, and I think those were always evident. He has this extremely sensitive, shy side, but he was also just so he just liked people so much. He was always that little kid who, you go to a campsite or you go out to the fireworks, down by Point Richmond, where we go to every year. And he would just drag back 5 people. These are my friends. This is always kind of a part of his life. And older, the other thing that became really important to him as he got older was music. He listened a lot to the Grateful Dead, went to a lot of shows. Even his two daughters would come up and visit me in the summertime. I remember Jessica, when she was 6, she was listening to some rap music, and I said, "Oh, does your dad listen to rap?" And she just turns to me full face and she goes, "No, he listens to rock and roll." It's a very big part of his identity, is the music that he listened to. And he would take the girls to concerts when they were little, and just that was very, very special. He's not a person he's a person who was not without demons, and I think we all know that. And one of the things that loving my brother means to me personally is you find out the depth of the love that you have for somebody, especially when they are not kind and they have been unkind and cruel to even the other people who you love the most in the world. And he was somebody who got me to challenge, I thought, wow, it has broadened my compassion for almost everybody, for everybody who just keeps loving people no matter what. I didn't think I was that person, and it turns out Jay kind of showed me I am that person. I think we all are that person. You love who you love. And he was really, he was really good at being friendly and loving people and getting people to love him. And I would say if you only have one trick in life, that's a pretty good one to have, So, yeah. So I would love anybody. He's got people from all over. Yeah, come, family, friends, everybody. Please step up and have a word. Thank you.
All right, well, in anticipation of this, I figured if I didn't write it down on my phone, I was not going to get it over with. So.
Take your mask off, Peter.
Yeah.
Oh, that's him.
So I'm just going to read this. J-Man passed away on the 16th of this month, and I found myself without a best friend for the first time in 38 years. I thought about losing him many, many times over those years, but it never hit me how much of my life and memory he filled. I met Jay when he was 14. He came walking up to Berg Park carrying a boombox blasting Iron Maiden. Stuck his head in the sprinkler, came over to talk, and we've been friends ever since. I feel like if you look at most friendships, you can find the exact moment when some event or action proved that person to you. They became your best friend. Well, with Jay, it seems like it happened over and over and over again. Too many times to count. Over the years, he and I shared family, both mine and his. We shared girlfriends, we shared cars, tools, plans, drugs, many, many, many bad jokes. I got midnight phone calls for rides to the Kaiser ER, like the night that Jay called me all panicked because he had been at his mom's, playing with the bottle of ether he had. He had left the bottle on top of the fridge, but failed to close it tight, and it leaked, and being heavier than air, it found its way down to the floor, where it drifted into the pilot light, ignited, and proceeded to burn both of his socks deeply into his legs. So I rushed down there, and I took him to the Kaiser ER and spent the next few hours holding his hands so he wouldn't swing on the nurses who were frantically trying to get the melted cloth out of his skin. And strong as he was, he damn near broke my fingers, but we got him through it. Jessie had me stitch him up. He had me cut a bullet from his leg, all kinds of things. It would have been hospital stuff if he hadn't been way too trusting of me. He fought some huge personal demons, and he lost. But he had a huge heart. He loved many people. He made friends easily. He was very passionate about what he believed in. He loved beautiful women, and quite a few loved him. He loved his kids. He worked like his life depended on it. He earned the respect of some very demanding employers, helped to construct the Buddhist temple and the tall ship Matthew Turner. He got away with some astonishing crimes, survived some incredible adventures, listened to every kind of music, danced to the dead, had a fine mind, brilliant at times, and he made an amazing best friend. I consider myself blessed and lucky to have had him in my life. I love you, brother.
chair's a little wobbly, the table's a little wobbly, so just,
That's important.
Hi everyone. I was a volunteer here also on the Matthew Turner. I was their docent. I'm a shipwright by trade and screwed my back up here a while ago, so I had to do something to, other than work. And I just loved it. I probably gave 1,000 tours to kids that came from as far as Sacramento and, you know, Eureka and, you know, all that kind of stuff. And it was just fabulous. And watching Jessie and the lads working on something that I used to do since I was 12 was just really, really awesome. And Jessie one time came up and he grabbed me in the shoulder, and you can see I'm small, turned me around and he said, "What's your name?" And I said, "Lon." L-A-W-N? No, lawn. You cannot mow me. And he said, "Oh, okay, well, Lon, I got to tell you this. You need to trim your nose hairs." And believe me, for the last 2 or 3 years that we worked together, we both told each other that all the time. And he wasn't my wife. He was great. We had a good time, and I've got chills just thinking about it again. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Mike Maloney. I am cousins with these beautiful ladies over here. Jess was my cousin. We were very, very blessed as kids growing up that our incredible grandparents always made a point to have an Easter gathering or things like that. We didn't get to see each other all the time. They lived in the Bay Area, we lived in Stockton, other cousins Manteca, but we could see each other and just pick up from that and just always continually have a great time. I think about your kind words about how Jess could love everybody, but I know where, and I don't even think about this before, but as you were talking, I'm thinking about, I know where he got that. Your mother, my Aunt Sue, was just this incredible, incredible lady, you know, and I'll never forget her too. She was just so loving, and Jess,
Sue to everybody.
yes, she and Jess obviously took that on. But I tell you, the best time I had in my entire life with Jessie was at my cousin Renee's gathering after she got married. And he talked about what he was doing. And he grabbed my interest talking about that boat right there. And I was so impressed with how he had gotten into what he was doing. He was loving it. He was telling me everything about it. He gave me brochures. I came back and told my friends about it and everything. So just, I am so glad that he found that time in his life. It was very meaningful to him. I know that. And it made me proud to be his cousin. So I love you, buddy. You'll be missed. Amen.
Hi, I'm Roy, and I had the privilege of working with Jessie on the tall ship as well. And that ship that you see out there was made out of trees. And these trees were felled in the forest up in Mendocino and brought down here, and the trees were cut into lumber. And the lumber was milled to make that ship. And Jessie was milling man number one. And everybody here will tell you that virtually every plank, every piece of lumber used to build those masts, and everything you see on that ship, Jessie's fingerprints are on that. Jessie milled that lumber. So when you get a chance to go out there and see that ship, Jessie's all over it. His spirit is in that ship.
He believed in that
I
ship.
see children on it, and it's the most beautiful thing.
Yes.
thank you.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Hey everybody, it's been a long time since I've seen a lot of you people. It's good to see everybody. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, quite a long time. Well, I just wanted to say that, you know, Jessie kind of had a real touch on my life too. So I think some of you were actually there. I won't name names, but one night when we were out in Crockett, we decided to eat some of these fun mushrooms that you can find sometimes. And we started strolling around Crockett, and we found ourselves at the bottom of the Carquinez Bridge. And one of us decided to climb up the girder. And so another one followed up, and then I went in there, and then Jessie came up behind me. And we started climbing up the girder, and we got about halfway up this thing, which is 400 to 500 feet in the air. And I said, you know, look, I don't want to be any higher. I want to go back down. And Jessie was down there beside me. The only way to get out of here is to go up, brother. And I'm like, no, I'm going down. You're going to have to let me get down. And no. And so we sat there for a good 20 minutes. Finally, I said, shit. So I started climbing up this thing. We ended up getting up to the very top of the girder, and we had to step over like 3 feet, looking down about, you know. This was such a night. Then we got on the catwalks.
We got to the top, dude.
Yeah. We went all over the catwalks on the bridge and everything else, and ever since then, I've never been afraid of heights again.
Wow.
Never. It was like amazing, and it also taught me to take some risk in life and not to be so afraid of things. So I give him that one for sure.
Incredible.
Oh yeah, it was a night to remember. We didn't think we were going to be making memories, but the one memory that I had a conversation with Jay probably around November over Facebook. We talked a lot on Facebook when when things were going well for him, and he reminded me of that that night, and then I reminded him of the one thing afterward. You're all feeling terrible. It's 3 a.m. and you're just you're ready to go to sleep. Well, Jay didn't want it to end, so he made us all a big old cup of coffee. He put way too much sugar in there, and then he poured about a gallon of vodka in that. And that was the best coffee I think I've ever had in my whole life. I love that coffee. That was for some reason the best. So thank you, Jay.
Does anybody else? Anybody? Okay.
Yeah. Hey, yeah, my name is Robbie Pelson, and I knew J-Man when he rolled over to Camp Cormorant when we were back over by Dunphy Park, and just got really close with him over these last couple months, and I spent a lot of time doing trips to the emergency room because of that, whatever it was, and whatever it was. And I think the thing that I always think about J-Man, there was one time when he had gotten out of the hospital for a kind of extended couple days, and he really thought he was going to die. And he came back with so much love. I just remember, that's how I always remember him, was that when he was coming out on that day, he's just talking about how he just loved everybody. He would just say the best things about people. He just walk through the camp and just say, God, I love that person. I just love that person. And that was something that was so much in Jay, is that there was so much love there, that he was a true artist. Matthew Turner is an example of that love, the work that he did when he was in the temple up in Sonoma County. That was an expression of that. He was making a presentation in the world that was full of love, and I think that that's how I'm going to remember J-Man, and that he had so much love, and it was a huge privilege to know him for the brief time that I did.
Thank you.
Oh my God, I don't know where to start. I loved him so much. He had the biggest heart. My hard times, he was in pain, going through whatever, but he was my neighbor in the tent. But he would sing to me. We would sing, I would say, Jessie, sing to me. He would sing to me, and then he'd start rapping. I mean, it just came out of his mouth like it was, natural. It just was, everything was beautiful. And if there was problems, he had my back, trust me. No matter how sick he was, he'd get out of his tent and take care of it, no problem. But I have so many beautiful things because he's so, if he knows somebody and lets them in, that he knows what they like, but he would give me these special little gifts, you know, so I have them all in my garden, and I'm so blessed to have them and think of him. And he gave me a blackberry bush that's thornless, so I cherish that forever. May he rest in peace. Love you. And his daughter, oh my goodness, right before the last time I saw him, baby, all he was expressing is you. He wanted his baby girl and to let you know how much he loved you, okay?
Okay. We have a poem from my cousin that I'd like to read. If there's anybody else who'd like to go before that, anyone else want to stand up? Okay, we got a few more people. Yeah.
For a long time, Jay lived in my office. I have just this little 4x8 room. I had a desk in there, so when he needed a place to stay while he was working on the ship, he came to live with us, and we emptied the room out, and he lived there for a while. He was always playing music. So I had this little Bluetooth speaker I lent to him so he could play his music nice and loud, because, you know, he likes to play his music very loudly. But so he's always playing music, and then one day I wanted to play some music in my room, so I went to get the speaker back. So I was in my room, it was still plugged in. Following morning, it was still plugged in, it was right in front of my bed, and it was on. His phone then connected to that speaker. He thought it was still in his room. About 9 in the morning, I was woken up. I am blasting Stevie Wonder in my room, thinking the speaker was there. That's probably the best alarm clock tone I could have ever had. We had a lot of fun while he was there, but I'm gonna miss Jay.
Okay, I think we'll have one or two more people, and then, oh, please, yes.
I love this big guy, and I fed this big guy. For years I fed this big guy. So today we brought his favorite snack is peanut butter and jelly sliders. So there's a tray of Hawaiian rolls, and we would slice it this way and put peanut butter and jelly on it, and Jay could eat a whole tray.
No doubt.
But he was my Moses. And if I went anywhere, because of his size, and he looked intimidating, though he had a soft heart, he could part the ways for me anywhere we wanted to go through a crowd.
Make no mistake, Mom, that boy would break bones.
I loved him. But you know, after Peter's and Kimmy's daddy died, I couldn't sleep in the big bedroom anymore. So we moved me to the office that he used to have an office there. And so Peter and Kim and Jay and Joey helped make the new bedroom. And it's got very high ceilings. And the beams there's some beams.
On the wall.
Like 8 feet high, Peter.
Yeah.
And I came home one day, and Jay was standing on these tippy toes, sanding those beams 8 feet in the air just to make them nice for us. Nice for us.
That's real.
He was a piece of my heart.
Yes.
Yeah. We'll miss him a lot.
That boy was loved.
He was very loved.
Straight up loved.
All right.
Teddy bear.
Oh, yes, please, go ahead.
I had a hard time deciding what to say, but I guess the only one thing that kept standing out in my mind was, well, he loved my tacos and I loved him, because if I ever would have said, hey, this guy, he would have said, stop, where's he at? Just no questions asked.
Yeah, right quick.
Yeah, but yet I knew, I never feared him. I recall even one night, he was having a verbal altercation, and I heard him thundering from across the parking lot. And I had on sandals, and I just remember running, and it was like slow motion, like roar, and I jumped on his back. And then I was like, don't do it. But the most, I think that really sticks out in my mind is one day we were just kind of leaned up on each other on the bench, and another friend came by and she says, you know, you guys look like two giants. And I looked at him and he looked at me, and I go, well, I guess that's what two Vikings are supposed to look like. And that's pretty much, you know, I'll never forget him. He was very loved. I fought long and hard from Dunphy to here. And I'm not going to give up fighting for what's right.
Yeah.
And he's going to be missed.
Thank you so much, Lauren. All right, so I think the docents are about ready to take some of us out on the boat to walk around. We're gonna have, this is my cousin Brian. He's one of our, okay, Jessie's one of Jessie's older cousins. Not older, very much. We're all kind of about the same age. Yeah. I'm just distinguishing between some of the people who knew Jessie like from minute one, and Brian would be one of those people.
Hi, she said, I'm Brian, I'm Jay's cousin, and one of my fond memories was always being able to pick him out at a Grateful Dead show. Even if he was like 200 feet away. There he is. At the one time, I'll never forget, I saw him at a Dead show, and they were doing anybody who knows the Grateful Dead, they did drums in space during their middle break, and they were doing drums, and I ran into him, and his hands were just going a million miles an hour, and I knew it wasn't just coffee he was on. But we had a good times at those shows, and whenever I'd see him, it was a good times. But this is an amazing turnout. It's you really know by one person and how many lives they touched. It's pretty amazing.
You did that.
Anyway, I wrote this a while ago. Changed a few words for Jay on it, so I'd like to read it to you now. It's called "What a Masterpiece." We search for you on the edge of forever, but we still see no trace of your footsteps on any snowy mountain path or sunny sandy beach. You packed up your soul and you left, but your energy still lingers in the midnight sun. That's one thing you can't hide. Now you see that love knows no boundaries. There is no galaxy or universe too big. Sorry. Just wish it didn't have to be this way. Just wish we didn't have to wait all night for the break of day and wander aimlessly through time, not being able to see your smile or hear your laughter. But at least we all got a chance to see what a masterpiece that both you and the Matthew Turner turned out to be.
Thank you.